do you make of this NVIDIA move? What's it about over the last couple of days?
Yeah, well, listen, I think we heard from Jensen a little over a week ago. I thought it was a great interview on CNBC, just talking about endless demand for the Blackwell chip. You know, so when you hear CEOs talk in this manner about, you know, this is the bellwether, this is exactly, you know, this is what they mass produce, and there's endless demand for their product. It's just another catalyst for the stock. We're just being reminded of what's going on between the lines at NVIDIA. So for me, that's part of the jump that we've seen over the last few days. And I think it continues. I think they will jump over the bar from an earnings perspective. We'll hear from them late in the earnings season, as we always do. But I think it was just a little bit of a reminder of what's going on, you know, at the company.
The NVIDIA stock has had a strong start to October. After enduring a catastrophic breakdown during the summer, things are starting to get better. Investors paused due to the artificial intelligence, AI, chip specialists' high valuation and worries about the present adoption of AI, which caused it to decline by as much as 27%. But in the roughly 4 weeks that have passed since NVIDIA found its footing early last month, the stock has increased by more than 29%. Today, the stock gained ground, rising as high as 4.5%. The stock had gained 4.1% by the time the market closed. Investors are wondering if the stock is still a buy after a surge of that size. Since the beginning of the year, NVIDIA stock has risen explosively, rising by more than 800%. The company's graphics processing units, GPUs, which possess the raw number crunching power required to compute AI, saw a tremendous rush in demand when AI first emerged. NVIDIA's statistics demonstrated this unquenchable demand, as the business produced 5 consecutive quarters of triple-digit sales and profit growth over the previous year. Fair weather investors, however, believed the sky was falling and fled for the hills when the company projected sales growth of just 80%. That could have been an expensive mistake. NVIDIA's CEO Jensen Huang stated in an interview last week that the company is experiencing wild demand for its next-generation Blackwell AI architecture. He continued, saying that everyone aspires to be first and to have the most. This contrasts sharply with recent worries that AI demand has peaked. Wall Street is still heavily invested in NVIDIA. Analyst CG News of Cantor Fitzgerald reflects the sentiment among experts when he notes that among all the stocks he examines, NVIDIA has the strongest upside consensus. He refers to it as far and away our top pick. One of the primary points of complaint for investors was NVIDIA's high valuation, which makes sense considering the company's 62 times earnings multiple. Wall Street, meanwhile, is projecting $4.02 in earnings per share for NVIDIA's 2026 fiscal year, which starts in January. That comes out to roughly 33 times anticipated earnings at its current share price of roughly $133, which is just marginally more than the multiple of 30 for the S&P 500. For a business with so many opportunities for success, that is a tempting price to pay. If you want to keep up with NVIDIA's latest updates and keep up with the stock market latest news, you can subscribe to our investing tutorial channel, as we post daily updates about the biggest changes and catalysts in the market. So click the subscribe button if you don't want to miss the newest market updates. Now back to today's video.
NVIDIA demonstrating its offerings beyond AI processors, the company providing greater insights into the company's various software platforms in its AI Summit in Washington, D.C. For more on this, we have Yahoo Finance's Dan Howley. Dan.
Yeah, Josh, they basically did a lot of talking, kind of laying out the background of NVIDIA, telling everybody there in D.C. for this summit. This is the first time they're holding this summit since 2019 in D.C. And so they wanted to kind of give the background of where NVIDIA came from, and then really kind of point to the software offerings that they have and how well they're doing and how important they are to NVIDIA. And so, you know, we talk so much about the hardware itself, you know, the Blackwell chips, the different permutations of that, and the Hopper chips, and how demand is for both of those. But post-hardware explosion, NVIDIA seems to be setting itself up as a software company as well. So essentially saying, look, we're not just about chips. We know you all
Chips,
know us about
software,
us.
Networking, got it all.
Soup to nuts,
Right,
networking
right.
as well. Yeah, and I think, that's obviously an important kind of thread to the NVIDIA story, because the more people that start to use its software, well, they're not going to want to leave, right? They're going to want to stick with NVIDIA going forward. So, I built my AI service on NVIDIA's platforms. I'm not going to go to AMD now. I'm not going to go to Intel. I'm going to stick with NVIDIA. And now, well, I need to upgrade my chips. I'll probably just go with NVIDIA, right? I don't want to have to, kind of go back to the drawing board. And so it's an important strategy for NVIDIA now, pointing this out. And so, they talk about how they're working with Carnegie Mellon University and the University of Pittsburgh on different learning facilities for things like robotics and automation. They brought up how they're working with the likes of AT&T and Accenture, kind of going over how these different companies are using NVIDIA's own software to enhance their AI capabilities. And so you imagine that if they're building, like I said, these different pieces of software, these services, or even testing them at this point with NVIDIA's software, they're going to continue to go back to NVIDIA as well, just because it wouldn't make sense to kind of, restart from the beginning without them.
As the shining example of the artificial intelligence industry, NVIDIA Corporation has established a reputation as one of the stocks that will make any investor wealthy in the next 5 to 10 years. The business is renowned for manufacturing the most sought-after graphics processing units, GPUs, which are capable of managing increasingly difficult tasks like AI applications and the training of massive language models. NVIDIA Corporation benefited from strong demand, which allowed it to account for 98% of GPU shipments to data centers last year and hold a market share of more than 80% for AI processors. Its hardware performs better than other products, which is one of the reasons the corporation has grown to be so prominent. Furthermore, the company's achievement in securing such a dominant market position is facilitated by the QDA software ecosystem. QDA facilitates the development of GPU-accelerated applications by providing hundreds of software libraries. As the sole manufacturer of semiconductors with a product similar to QDA, NVIDIA GPUs have taken the lead in the data center accelerator market. NVIDIA Corporation projected that the robust demand for AI infrastructure would lead to rapid growth and increased shareholder value. According to Grand View Research, the market for AI accelerators is expected to expand at a rate of 29% per year until 2030, while the amount spent on hardware, software, and services related to AI is expected to compound at a rate of 36% per year. For investors in NVIDIA, this is positive. The robust demand for the company's GPUs drove a 122% year-over-year increase in Q2 revenue to $30 billion. Earnings per share increased to $0.67, up 168% from the prior year. Based on strong financial results, NVIDIA is one of the companies that will make you rich in 5 to 10 years, especially since the artificial intelligence race is only getting started. The business is still producing strong results. In Q2 FY25, for example, revenue climbed 122% year-over-year to $30 billion, above projections of $28 billion, with an EPS of $0.68, net income of $16.6 billion above consensus estimates of $0.645. The quarter's high performance was ascribed to an increase in the demand for data center processors. NVIDIA projects revenue of approximately $32.5 billion for the third quarter, with gross margins ranging from 74.4% to 75%. Throughout the year's back end, it also anticipates steady revenue growth from its Hopper and Blackwell architecture products. Street experts generally agree that the stock is a strong buy. They also anticipate an increase in the share price of 18%. So what does this really mean for NVIDIA's stock? Let's find out. But first, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
But today's breakout in NVIDIA, technically not an all-time breakout, of course, but a big one on the chart, really builds that kind of perfect market that has shown up a few times this summer into the fall. And it's one of the most encouraging days when you've got stocks strong, NVIDIA leading, the AI trade, the market cap that needs to move forward to give us a leader and a hero in the market. That's all happening while bond yields have been inching forward and the crypto market struggles to take off. That tells me that we have investors finding quality, following high quality, and still reticent to go after the junky stuff. That to me is the healthy market. That's what you want. You want yields up. That's what I've been talking about, the relationship that has been so core. It was late September, right around the Fed decision, that it took the green light off bonds and made it yellow because of the potential for yields to bounce back as the Fed did a deep cut, which I argued would then lift the terminal rate because it should help the economy. And that's what we've seen. Now, NVIDIA, kind of its own world, and that's fine. The chart looks like a really nice breakout, targeting the all-time highs. Don't see why it wouldn't get there as long as there's not some big, surprise or black swan thing or some big short or whatever that we see from some of the other qualms that investors have had, like the super micro stuff. As long as there's no big shock for NVIDIA, it should be back to business as usual as the leader for the market. That's big. That's bullish. Even though it would be nice to have broad participation, there is the theory versus reality. And in reality, this market has been much stronger when it's concentrated in big tech.
Senior officials at the Taiwanese company announced on Tuesday that Foxconn is constructing the largest manufacturing facility in the world in Mexico for packaging NVIDIA's GB200 superchips, which are an essential part of the American company's next-generation Blackwell family computing platform. As it assembles servers needed to perform AI work, Foxconn, the largest contract electronics manufacturer in the world and the company behind Apple's largest iPhone assembly line, has benefited from the surge in artificial intelligence. Benjamin Ting, a senior vice president at Foxconn for the Cloud Enterprise Solutions Business Group, stated that the company is constructing the largest GB200 production plant on the planet. According to a source in the Mexican government, Guadalajara would be the site of the factory. After making design adjustments, NVIDIA announced in August that it had begun distributing Blackwell samples to partners and customers. The company anticipated generating several billion dollars in sales from these chips by the end of the fourth quarter. Ting stated that everyone was requesting NVIDIA's Blackwell platform and that the collaboration between his company and NVIDIA was crucial. Standing next to Deepu Talla, Vice President of AI and Robotics at NVIDIA, during the company's annual Tech Day in Taipei, Ting declared, "The demand is awfully huge." Later, Foxconn Chairman Young Liu told reporters that the plant was being built in Mexico and would have a huge capacity. He didn't go into detail. Foxconn has already established a significant manufacturing presence in Mexico and has made over $500 million in investments in Chihuahua State to far. The company's supply chain, according to Liu, is prepared for the AI revolution. It also boasts the ability to manufacture advanced liquid cooling and heat dissipation technologies necessary to complement the infrastructure of the GB200 server. Although he could not provide specifics, he stated that the company's forecast for the current quarter was positive. Due to the robust demand for AI servers, Foxconn reported its highest-ever third-quarter revenue on Saturday. Despite a notable monthly fall in September, analysts at UBS believe that Taiwan's export data points to stronger than expected demand for the chipmaker's data center products, which might lead to a spike in NVIDIA shares. According to a recent report from the Taiwan Ministry of Finance, September exports of automatic data processing, or ADP, equipment, which do not include laptops, totaled $6.1 billion, a 25% decrease from August's $8.2 billion. The analysts noted that although this decrease represents the worst monthly performance in UBS's 10-year dataset and comes after a subseasonally strong August, the overall trend still suggests that NVIDIA may see further growth, especially given the forecast of a typical seasonal month in October. This suggests still $22.5 billion of exports for the same three-month period as NVDA's FQ3, OCT, up 21% Q/Q and generally consistent to slightly better than our plus 15% projection for NVDA's data center revenue, according to UBS. This is assuming a regular seasonal month of October. The analysts did, however, issue a warning because there might be a large amount of fluctuation between the two sets of data about Taiwan's export data and NVIDIA's reported revenue. We would warn that the data is not conclusive because in recent years, the key growth for TW and NVDA have varied by as much as the mid-teens, and either way, they continued. The most recent analysis of UBS is being released just a few days before Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing's September sales report, which is anticipated to be released in the coming days and will give NVIDIA one more look.